Michelle, thanks so much for joining us today. This is Michelle Weimer, a member of the Water4 board. Michelle, do you mind telling us a little bit about what you do and where you're from?
Absolutely. I'm currently living in California, San Jose, the Bay Area, but I was introduced to Water4 a few years ago. I do government relations consulting. I work in the international space, so I really focus on international development, policy, and funding provisions. And I was in Washington, D.C. with a group of organizations that were going to Capitol Hill, and I had set up a series of Hill visits for these organizations. And I met Water4 as I was randomly assigned to the Oklahoma delegation. And so I spent the day with Matt and heard Water4's story in each of our meetings and was blown away. My background is in development, but really on the policy side. I worked in the Senate for a decade. And during my tenure there, I worked on the subcommittee that funds all of our international foreign assistance programs. So I traveled extensively. I looked at projects all over the world, and WASH was in my portfolio, along with all of the other development objectives. And I was captivated by Water4's platform and how they were approaching the water crisis. It was different than anything I had heard before. And so I just kept asking questions throughout the day. You know, the members of Congress would ask questions, and so would I. It was really fun. And so I was really excited about Water4 after just my day with them on Capitol Hill, and then was incredibly surprised and tickled to be asked to join their board. Matt and I had several other conversations, and I joined the board a couple of years ago, and it's really an honor.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate having you on the board. We're thankful to have board members from all over the country, especially as we are leading into our second annual Walk4Water, which has a new virtual component this year. So I understand that you and your family are going to be participating in the Walk4Water on September 19th. Can you tell us a little bit about how you guys are going to participate in the Bay Area?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think this year is obviously different for everyone in a lot of different ways, but it makes a virtual participation possible. And so we are going to carry a very heavy bucket around our neighborhood and go for a walk as a family. We have a big family. I've got 4 kids. And so we will be passing a very giant bucket around as we walk the miles that women and girls walk every single day to get fresh water, oftentimes contaminated fresh water, to their homes. And this is something that we'll be doing in masks, and we'll be carrying heavy water, and it's hot here in California. We'll probably be sweating a lot, and we're okay with that. We're going to get uncomfortable to understand what 2.1 billion people go through every single day in order to just have a little bit of fresh water for their daily life. Mm-hmm. So we're excited to do it.
Awesome. That is fantastic. And I think that's a great point. You know, it is uncomfortable, and it's important for us to understand what those folks are going through. Did you and your family set a fundraising goal? Do you guys plan to fundraise for Water4 while you do this?
We will. We are going to fundraise. We've set the goal at $5,000. And we'll have a matching component to that. So hopefully we'll have a lot of participation, and we'll match whatever we can also raise.
Awesome. Have you guys thought about your plan for how you're going to fundraise, and what kind of strategies you guys want to use for that?
Yes and no. I mean, I think really, in a time of COVID and a time of pandemic, people are more aware of the value of water. And if we're not, we really just should stop and pause and think how many times a day we ask our kids to wash their hands, how many times we're doing it a day. We're heightened to the awareness of disease. Mm-hmm. Most of the world doesn't have this luxury. They don't have the luxury of turning on a faucet and having fresh water flow from it. And they are faced by diseases every single day, many of them waterborne. And so in a time of this pandemic, I think that there's an ear to hear regarding just how valuable and how blessed we are to have fresh water And I'm hopeful that people all over the country will join us in just taking a minute to think about this precious resource and how lucky we are to have it in every area of our life. We have the continuity of water too, which many communities don't.
Mhm.
And so this is a long way of saying in fundraising, I think I'll really just be reaching out to tell that story, just to tell others, just to stop a minute and think about it. This is a great conversation to have with your kids. Um, you know, a really great visual. There's some awesome videos that kind of show how far women and girls walk every single day carrying these 50-gallon buckets on their heads,
Right.
um, to and from, miles a day, hundreds of thousands of hours a year, actually millions of hours a year spent lugging water, and the
Mhm.
risks that are associated with that, just that journey every day. So I think that this is a really great opportunity, first of all, for family building and doing something that's gets you outside, gets you moving, but for a purpose, for a cause. How great is it? And how, again, how grateful are we that we have the opportunity, even in a time of COVID, even in a time of social distancing, where we can get outside, we can carry fresh water, and we can make an impact.
Absolutely. I think that's a great point. And, I think fundraising doesn't have to be hard. To your point, it's just sharing that message. I heard a long time ago that the number one reason people don't donate is because they weren't asked. So a lot of times, all it takes is just letting people know what you're doing. So I
Absolutely.
appreciate that. How do you guys plan to share? One of the big components is us sharing how we're participating virtually in the Walk for Water. So how do you guys plan to do that leading up to the walk and the day of when you're participating?
Yeah, good question. I'm not sure that we've given that enough thought, but certainly during the day of, we'll do a lot of videos, we'll do a lot of pictures, we'll post things on social media. We're hoping that we're going to get some neighborhood teams. You know, here again, we're being really mindful of social distancing in California. It's pretty strict, and so we will not be walking with other families, but we'll hope other families are also walking. So we might, kind of tag each other along the way, maybe have water points throughout the neighborhood. We're going to figure it out, but we're going to hope to do it to get others involved. Hopefully, some branding along with it.
Sure.
Um,
Sure.
yeah,
Awesome. Well, when you're walking, remember to use our hashtag, which is Walk4Water4. Both of those fours are the number four. So if you'll use that hashtag, that'll help us gain some ground from a viral standpoint.
perfect.
And just my last question, what is your favorite thing or the most compelling thing that you think to share about Water for to get your friends and family or your team excited about participating?
Oh man. Well, what really drew me to Water for all those years ago was their mission to empower local communities. This is not charity, and they do not see it as such. Um, what Water for does is they go into a district, they work with the locals, they work with the local parts that people have. They don't bring in their own equipment, their own stuff. They train locals, they find local entrepreneurs that really want to solve this crisis, and then work with them to build a system, to dig deep enough to have the infrastructure in place to service a system. Then they set up private businesses that actually sell that water. So not only are they creating a sustainable resource for the community and bringing something that the community has never had to a community, which is safe and clean water, but then they are allowing a private enterprise to set up and sell the water at a competitive price. Water's not free anywhere, even in Africa, even in these places where it's not clean, they still sell it. So if you're buying water, you're still paying something out of your minimum salary for something that is gross and contaminated. What Water for does is they come in, they help locals build something that is absolutely sustainable, that is absolutely clean, that is fresh, that is filtered, that is 100% contagion free. And then they set up private enterprises that allow entrepreneurship to grow. It's called Numa Water. And so partnering with again, people, they're taking ownership of their community. They're providing a resource, and then they're giving a lifeline in business and charging something for a valuable resource, but not charging something that is going to turn people away from it, but that is
Right.
100% affordable and just builds capacity. And what I also love about Water4 is they don't just do this in one spot. They're looking to cover districts. So that means that you do have a continuity of clean water. We don't think about this in the US. We've never had to. So if my kids go to school, I never think, oh no, will they have clean water there? No, we never think of that. If we go to the pool and they go to the drinking fountain, I'm never worried that they're going to catch some horrible waterborne illness from a drinking fountain. In most of sub-Saharan Africa and other parts of the world, that luxury does not exist. So Water4 goes in and looks at a district. So they are looking to pipe fresh water to all the areas of the district, including healthcare facilities, which is massively important. I mean, ladies, let's think about childbirth for a second, and let's think about, can you imagine going, first of all, going to a healthcare facility, which is sometimes a luxury that not all have, but then going to give birth and not having an attendant that has fresh water. You can you can come down with a variety of illnesses right away. So can your baby. And that's what maternal and child deaths, so many of them are attributed to that lack of sanitation and clean water at a healthcare facility. So Water4 solves that. They are not going in for a quick fix solution. They are going in to solve the lifeline problem and to actually provide a sustainable resource to the entire community so that there is this continuity of fresh water. And so you're not worried about it. You're not worried that in one part of your life you have it and in another part you don't.
Well, that is fantastic. I appreciate that. I could not have summarized what Water4 does any better myself. So thank you so much, Michelle, to you and your family for participating in the Walk4Water, for rallying your community, and for being one of our awesome virtual teams that we're going to have on September 19th. And we hope that more folks will join us by visiting walk4water.org and registering to participate either here in Oklahoma City or virtually anywhere you'd like in the country. Thanks again, Michelle, for joining us, and we will see everyone on September 19th.
Thank you, Casey. I hope to see a lot of people out there.
Thanks.